Is this perhaps the dumbest question one could ever ask? One of the most stupid topics to ever create a video about? That's what some of my viewers are going to suggest. You see the topic, will Trump start deporting black people next? Now, being candid, I didn't create this topic. So it's not something I came up with for clickbait or likes or any of that other bullshit. Someone actually asked me this question, one of my viewers who watch my content across the many platforms I'm on, and they asked me, once the illegal immigrants and the undocumented are out of this country, do you fear that President Trump will start deporting black people next? That was a legitimate question. Fact is, I wasn't confident giving any answer whatsoever. So I made a video and I wanted to ask you folks. And that's where I got hammered by many of my viewers. In fact, one viewer stated, "Oh my God, y'all be unreal. Are you Americans or not, for fuck's sake?" Suggesting that you're either here illegally or you're here legally. If you are an American citizen, you don't have to worry about this. Or some might say, quit the race baiting and racial bullshit. So why on earth would anyone ever even ponder the thought that President Trump would start deporting American citizens that just happen to be black? Where the hell is that coming from? Well, I want to give you President Trump himself. Check this out.
Live stream broadcast from inside the Oval Office. President Trump can be heard telling El Salvador's President Nayib Bukele he wants to send American citizens convicted of crimes to prison in El Salvador, as Trump calls them homegrowns.
I said homegrowns are next. The homegrowns built. You got to build about 5 more places. Yeah, that's big. All right. It's not big enough.
Now, this is from a few weeks ago. He's speaking to the president of El Salvador, the guy's named Bukele, and you see the way they're talking, it's kind of caught on a hot mic, so he wasn't addressing the public directly, and I don't know for certain if he thought the microphone was on or not, but you hear him telling the guy that we need you to open 5 more prisons. So he uses the word homegrown. So he's talking about people that started out here. He's talking about American citizens. Now, there is some chuckle in this, so I do want to address the elephant in the room that's likely to come from my beloved MAGA side of the aisle. Many are going to suggest, well, he's just joking, it's taken out of context or whatever the case may be. So I do want to address that. Is he really talking about the potential of deporting actual American citizens to El Salvador in the future, which is what he's stating here? Or is he just joking with Bukele, the president of El Salvador? Well, there are follow-ups to this in regards to whether he's joking or not. It comes up again. Here goes.
To follow up on immigration, deporting American citizens to Central American prisons. Is it legal, or do you need to change the law to do it?
Well, it's another question that the president has raised. It's a legal question that the president is looking into. And he talked about this yesterday when with his meeting with President Bukele in the Oval Office. He would only consider this, if legal, for Americans who are the most violent, egregious, repeat offenders of crime, who nobody in this room wants living in their communities.
Now, she clearly is not joking. She's being questioned on whether Trump would end up deporting American citizens. And she makes it clear that he has raised this question. So Trump is clearly checking into the legalities of deporting American citizens. He's clearly doing it according to her. She didn't chuckle at all. So if you thought he was joking with Bukele, here is the same topic coming up again. And this time she states that he's checking in to see about the legalities of it. She could have simply said, no, there's no way in hell Trump would ever deport an American citizen. So I do want to make it clear that the idea that Trump could start deporting black people, and individuals like my last viewer I talked about who says, oh my God, are you American or not, for fuck's sake? Clearly he's talking about deporting Americans. But here's another comment from one of my other viewers. Anyone who thinks this is going to happen is fear casting on a new level. So in other words, you should have no concern that this is going to happen at all, even though Trump's spokesperson here is on TV saying that he is looking into doing it. But is this really something over nothing? Was this all that happened and this topic never came up again? Unfortunately, not.
The idea again minutes later to reporters as he sat down with his cabinet, including Attorney General Pam Bondi.
To Pam, I don't know what the laws are. We always have to obey the laws, but we also have homegrown criminals that push people into subways, that hit elderly ladies on the back of the head with a baseball bat when they're not looking, that are absolute monsters. I'd like to include them in the group of people to get them out of the country.
Okay, now this time he really clarifies it. He's talking about criminals that are American citizens that may have committed a violent crime. Now, there's a few issues here. First of all, do you feel confident that if they get the right to start deporting American citizens that have committed violent crimes, it won't spread to lesser crimes and perhaps misdemeanors or people that are just political dissents? Do you feel 100% confident that won't happen? Because remember, the whole notion that Trump would ever consider deporting American citizens was fear-mongering to begin with. Now we're into American citizens and we're talking about what type of American citizen. Okay, we're a violent felon. What's next? Somebody who hates America? Somebody who's unpatriotic? Maybe a liberal? So I do want to ask that question. Do you feel confident, now that he's overwhelmingly clear that he is considering deporting American citizens, that it won't spread beyond violent Americans? And by the way, this is 100% unconstitutional, even to send violent American criminals down to another country. All of your ability to talk to your lawyer and counsel, the idea of meeting your family and having conjugal visits, all of that would be gone if they can deport you anywhere in the world. You lose all of that. So a lot of this is unconstitutional, but this is not fear-mongering when the guy is on screen actually saying he plans on at least looking into whether he can do it or not. So I do want folks to understand, this isn't coming out of left field. It's coming out of his damn mouth. Also, now we've covered actual evidence that Trump is looking to deport American citizens, but he refined it to suggest just violent American citizens. Well, I'm going to go one further. He's talked about deporting, or better yet, removing the citizenship from Rosie O'Donnell. Now, Rosie O'Donnell, who used to be on The View, she was a comedian. I think she used to host VH1 back in the day. The only thing Rosie O'Donnell has done to attract the attention of Trump is to criticize President Trump. She's not a criminal. She's not violent. She hasn't created any immigration crimes, nothing. The only thing she's done is pissed off Trump. Now, in fear of Trump, she's moved out of the country. I believe she lives in Ireland now. She is of Ireland ancestry, but she was born and raised in America. But her ancestry is Ireland. She moved back to she moved to that country. I'm not aware that she's ever lived there before. But out of concern with President Trump trying to come after her, she moved out of the country. And here's Trump now stating that he is considering taking away her citizenship. Is it a joke? Is any of this shit a joke? Who knows? But it is all unconstitutional, and he's talking about doing this stuff on television, on the internet, and in public. So is it remotely possible that he could possibly consider deporting black people when he's clearly talking about doing it to Americans? Is it really that much of an asinine jump to think that black people could be put in the radar when he's clearly talking about doing it to American citizens? I want you folks to understand, this question wasn't asked out of left field. It's asked out of things that are coming from Trump's mouth. One of my viewers stated, that's a dumb question. Of course not. Of course he's not going to deport black people. Somebody else said, what a load of racial bullshit. My guess is they didn't know he's been flirting with deporting American citizens. Understand, anytime a citizen faces the wrath of the government, the financial status of that citizen becomes paramount. In other words, if you're charged with a major crime, whatever your income is going to play a big part on the outcome of what the government is trying to do to you. What point am I making? Let's take someone like the late O.J. Simpson or even P. Diddy, who's in court now. If these men were of low financial means, they both would have done years in prison. P. Diddy would be in prison right now, and O.J. Simpson would have died there. Having money makes a huge difference when the government's after your ass. Who represents the poorest segment of this population in this country? Black people. Black people do. So if he's talking about deporting people, now he's starting out with violent criminals, but with Rosie O'Donnell, now he's going to just dissidents, people that are speaking ill of him. You're talking about black people who generally have a lot more poverty per capita than other groups. That's why the prisons are loaded with black people. It's not necessarily they commit most of the crimes. Most of them got public defenders. Most of them can't afford a lawyer. So you're going to likely face the wrath of the system more if you don't have money. If he starts deporting American citizens, which you cannot deny he's talking about over and over and over again, if you see my clips here, he starts deporting American citizens, he's going to net a lot of black people, period. He's going to net a lot of black people because they have far less resources to fight back against what he would be using the government to do. So I'm going to ask you again after you've watched this video, and you'll see the clip of the post I made online, but I'm going to ask you in closing, do you feel like based on what Trump has said, it is 100% impossible that he would not look into deporting black people? After hearing his spokesperson say he's already looking into the legality of deporting U.S. citizens. Let me know in the comments. As always, feel free to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel. See you in the next video. I was asked a question today, which not only caught me off guard, it kind of touched me, for which I don't have a clear answer, but I thought it was worthy enough to make a video. Now, can't post it here because it was asked on a different platform. But this is in regards to the fact that we are going gung-ho, securing the border and removing illegal immigrants. I think we've all heard about CCOT down in El Salvador and some of the conditions in which people were sent there. And now we have Alligator Alcatraz, which is essentially being duplicated throughout Florida and other states. They intend to open up more of those. And the question I was asked was, after they are done with illegal immigrants and undocumented individuals, are African Americans next? Now, I'm not going to just yell out no or yes on this because I don't feel confident with either answer. But I do want to ask you folks, have you seen anything from this administration that would make you feel confident answering that question either way? If so, I would sure like to read it in the comments. Thank you. What say you?